Welcome back to Aethlon Medical's a channel addressing unmet needs in global health. And joining to discuss, we have the privilege of the CEO, James, and Stephen, the Chief Medical Officer, joining us to give us some highlights. It's been a little while, but first and foremost, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you,
Hi.
Kyle.
Always a pleasure. It's been quite a little while. So I'm going to pass it over to you guys. There's a lot going on with updates on your oncology trial. I know Steve was recently in Australia visiting some of the labs. Maybe tell us what's going on here.
Sure. I'm Jim Frakes, CEO and CFO of the company. We're a medical device company. This is our device, the Aethlon Hemopurifier. It's similar in size to a dialysis cartridge and fits on blood pumping equipment like dialysis machines, CRRT machines. Those are common in hospitals and medical centers worldwide. It's kind of a razor blade approach. This is our razor single-use device designed to remove cancerous particles called extracellular vesicles or exosomes, and also viral particles. We're a small publicly held company. We trade on NASDAQ. I'll hit a few financial points first, and then, as Kyle mentioned, Steve just came back from Australia visiting the sites that we've lined up for our cancer trial in Australia. And he can also give us an update on the site in India as well. So we closed our June quarter with about 9.1 million in cash. We have about 14 million shares outstanding. We've reduced our burn rates from before I became CEO. We were burning about $3 million per quarter. We're now less than 2 million a quarter, I'm pleased to report. And we're trying to drop it a little more, although with our trials starting up, we know that will be an offsetting increase, but that's a more constructive use of our cash, in my opinion. And our market cap's approximately 5.6 million. Hopefully, as we make progress on these oncology trials, that will change. So let me turn it to Dr. Steve LaRosa, our Chief Medical Officer. And Steve, can you go through the hypothesis of our trials and then give us an update on your trip to Australia, please?
Sure. Thanks, Jim. So as Jim mentioned, with our device, it's designed to remove both life-threatening viruses, but also extracellular vesicles, which are released by a variety of cells and particularly from tumor cells. And they're implicated in the spread of cancers and the resistance to common therapies, including, checkpoint inhibitors, such as anti-PD-1 drugs, Keytruda and Opdivo. So the hypothesis is if you could take a patient who's failing Keytruda and Opdivo and treat them with our device and remove these extracellular vesicles, you may impact this in a positive fashion the spread of the cancer, and you may resuscitate the response to these drugs. And so with that in mind, we have a safety, feasibility, and dose-finding trial to examine our device in patients failing Keytruda and Opdivo, those with solid tumors. And that's going to occur both in Australia and India. And since we last talked, we've made a considerable amount of progress. On the Australia front, we now have 2 sites that are open and active for enrollment, and they're screening patients. So theoretically, a patient could be enrolled any day if they sign informed consent. So that's at Royal Adelaide Hospital in Adelaide and Pindara Private Hospital in Gold Coast. We also have a 3rd site, University of Sydney Royal North Shore Hospital, that's in the final stages of governance and approval, and they'll come online. As Jim mentioned, we just came back, our team just came back from a trip to Australia, a very exciting trip where we accomplished a number of things. First, we visited with the lab of Professor George Grau at University of Sydney, who's doing all our extracellular vesicle and T-cell analysis for the study. Professor Grau's a renowned expert in the field. We visited with his staff and the very impressive facilities at the Charles Perkins lab on the campus there. And they have all the state-of-the-art equipment to do this analysis. They're highly motivated. So they're gearing up and ready to receive samples. So we think we'll be able to generate high quality data on EVs and T cells from from that collaboration with Professor Grau's lab. We then had a very interactive investigator meeting involving staff from all 3 sites, including the principal investigators, the oncologists at all 3 sites, nephrologists, research coordinators, and program managers. We went over the entire protocol, safety reporting, et cetera, had a lively discussion, positive discussion, and the sites came away, we think, prepared and eager to go out and look for patients. We then followed that up with individual visits to the 3 hospitals mentioned, where our staff, including our Alessio Blush and Nian Kin, our clinical specialists, specifically trained the nephrology staff and the dialysis nurses on the use of the hemopurifier, essentially a dry run using saline. And again, very highly interactive, well-attended visits. So we think that they'll be prepared to conduct the treatment. So extremely busy but productive meeting, and we think we came away with a very energetic sites and good discussions and the means to conduct the study. So that was Australia. And then on the India front, where we're proceeding with a hospital in Delhi, where we're in the final stages of clinical trial agreement and budget negotiations, and we're finalizing the importing and exporting requirements so that we can send devices and get samples in and out of the country. And so we're making progress there. So a whole lot of activity in a short time, and we're very excited by that.
Yeah, definitely appreciate all the insights here. You guys seem well capitalized, and a lot's been expanding through the years. We pass it off to the viewers. We'd love to know what you think in that comment section, and consider subscribing as news and catalysts come into play. We'll bring it to you here. But on that note, as always, we look forward to catching you in the next one.